Good evening all. I warmly welcome you all in this pleasant evening for free induction and first lectures of Certified Internal Auditor Program with Academy of Finance. We, the Academy of Finance, is an educational institute providing professional qualifications. We have affiliated with Institute of Internal Auditors more than 5 years, and this is our 9th batch for CIA Part 1. Let me introduce Mr. Kapila Dodamgoda. He is co-founder and managing director of Academy of Finance Private Limited, and he is the regional director of ICMA Australia Sri Lanka region. Mr. Kapila is having an engineering degree from University of Moratuwa, and he's hold MA in Economics from University of Colombo, and he's a fellow member of Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and he's a fellow member of ICMA Australia. And he holds member of the Institute of Engineers in Sri Lanka, and he is a member of Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, and he's associate member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, UK. Mr. Kapila started his career at Haley's as an engineer and moved to Vanikin Corporation as a trade finance manager and worked at Mars Active as a general manager overseas operation, and he worked as finance director at Mars Investments also. Mr. Kapila is having more than 30 years of experience in lecturing field, also as a corporate trainer. Let me hand over the session to Mr. Kapila. It's over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Amira. Good evening to all of you. Hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So once again, we would like to welcome all of you for this induction of the Certified Internal Auditor Program conducted by the Academy of Finance. So within this short session, induction session that we are going to have with you, we will spend a minute in letting you know about the Academy of Finance. And then also we have invited a representative from the Institute of Internal Auditor, the Sri Lankan chapter, to tell you a little bit more about the Institute of Internal Auditors, as well as the activities of the Sri Lankan chapter. We also have, thereafter, we have your facilitator for this session, Mr. Ashen Jayasekara, and he's going to spend a little time in educating you about the Certified Internal Auditor qualification, as well as the Internal Audit Practitioner. And there are some who are interested about the ACCA Challenge Examination. So you will get to know about the bundle of the qualifications relating to the internal auditing from the Institute of Internal Auditors. And we will be spending a little while in explaining you about what you are going to learn within this course, the entry criteria, the assessment mechanisms, as well as the examination practice and e-learning. And you will also learn about, get to know your facilitator, Mr. Ashen Jayasekara. And you will listen to someone who has followed this program as well. And finally, we also give the opportunity to all of you to introduce each other, because once you join the program, you will also be there for a period of close to 6 months, joining these classes and seeing each other. And unlike when we have the sessions as a face-to-face session, so we'll not get the opportunity to get to know each other. So we'll make it a point that we'll give each one of you an opportunity to introduce yourself. And then we will wind up with a session explaining you the way forward, and those who are interested, how you can continue with the educational program. So that's the plan for today. And just to start with, actually, Yamira has indicated, Academy of Finance is an educational establishment which was founded 13 years ago with the objective of empowering the next generation professionals with financial wisdom. And we have a mission of educating non-finance professionals to be confident and get qualified in finance and accounting, and also providing development opportunities and higher qualifications for finance professionals who may also be already qualified in finance area, or they may be professionals in other related areas who are looking for qualifications in specific areas. Having said that, we have partnerships with Institute of Internal Auditors for a very long period of time. And also, there's a main corporate partner for the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment, and the Institute of Certified Management Accountants Australia for the Certified Management Accountant program. So that's a little bit about Academy of Finance for you to have a background idea. And having said that, I would now like to invite from an invitee or a representative from the Institute of Internal Auditors, the local chapter. That's none other than Surantha Jayatilaka, who is the Assistant Vice President Internal Audit from the NTB Bank. He's a fellow of the Institute of Bankers. He holds an MBA, a postgraduate diploma in HRM from Open University, and also he's got the award of Global Financial Compliance with the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments, UK. Having said that, without taking much of time, any further time, I would like to invite Mr. Surantha Jayatilaka, who is an Executive Council member of the Institute of Internal Auditors, to explain you further about the Institute and the Sri Lankan chapter. Over to you, Surantha.
Okay, thank you, Kapila. Am I audible?
Yes, Surantha, we are quite audible. You're audible.
Okay. Okay, good evening to all of you. So, Kapil has invited a member of the executive committee to present to you some of the main functions that we do at the IIA Sri Lanka chapter. We are an affiliated body of the IIA Global, which is located in USA. Kapila, can you share the screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing.
So, going back to 1941, the global office was initiated in USA, Florida. Then, with a view to basically at that time, we did not have a professional body supporting to uplift the industry in the world. So now this particular institute has become the main body to uplift the standards of the IIA profession, and also to enhance the knowledge of the internal auditors. Mainly, although this is aimed for the internal auditors, members of other GRC functions, that is governance, risk and control functions, are also included. So as we go down the slides, you will understand the entry criteria and the experience required to get registered. So mainly covers auditing and the GRC function. Okay, we can move on. Next slide. I will touch a little bit more on the local chapter. This was initiated in 2005, so we are about 17 years old in Sri Lanka. We have an executive committee of about 25 members, and presently the local body has about little over 200 members. So the main aim of the Sri Lanka chapter is to uplift the standards of internal audit profession and also to bring them closer and share best practices. I'm not sure whether there are any registered members already. If there are any, you all would you all would have known that before the pandemic, we used to have annual conferences where auditors of various industries got together and we shared our ideas. Of course, during the last 2 years, during the COVID pandemic, we couldn't have any physical conferences, but hopefully we are planning to have one in most probably a virtual session this year. Right. So this particular executive committee comprises of various heads of audits and very senior people from different industries. We are working closely with the IIA Global Office, as well as we have memorandum of understanding with several chapters in the world. For instance, we have at present we have MOU signed with IIA Australia, India, Malaysia, Singapore. So the benefit, I will tell you all the benefits that you all will get by being a member, getting registered as a IIA member. If we can move to the next slide. Okay, so mainly we have a set of mission and objective that is where to advocate basically and promote the value of internal audit and which brings adds value to your organization. So with that in mind, we have organized a series of professional education. Some are basically conducted by local resources among the membership. You all would have already got invited for several free sessions that we conduct if you're a IIA member, IIA member. And some, as I told you earlier, we have these MOU partners, that is the overseas chapters. Whenever they have their sessions, they sometimes extend these facilities free of charge to the local membership. And also we have some MOUs with some local partners, mainly University of Caledonia. And recently we signed up a MOU with ISACA, the Sri Lanka chapter. So whenever, whatever the training that they do to their members, they extend that to us free of charge or at a concessionary rate. So similarly, our members will also, their members will also get that same benefit. So mainly, I think we have how to get a membership. I'll just quickly run through because I think this will be covered later on in the presentation. So mainly when you fill up an application and make a payment of 13,000, you can actually get yourself registered. There is an entry requirement and that will also be covered in detail in later slide. But mainly, as I told earlier, the experience area are generally limited to the auditing and GRC functions. And also the educational qualifications are given. So there's a minimum level of education requirement that is required that will be discussed later. Every year you have to renew this membership. By registering as a Sri Lanka chapter, you will automatically be registered as a IIA Global member as well. So mainly the benefits are on the discounted rate that you have to pay for your exams, your application fees. Whenever there are educational sessions, webinars, conferences, there are big discounts. So with the exchange rate going up and up, I think it will be a must to get this membership if you are to continue in this profession. Then I think you will get access to the IIA Global website. So it's a very comprehensive website where the latest information in auditing will be updated. So it includes various bookstores, publications, what is happening in the industry all over the world. These are there. Then you also have the opportunity to vote. You get voting rights as a member for the IIA Global activity. Then there are opportunities for you to actually get involved in these bodies, because there are, I think, more than 20 professional committees. There's an opportunity for you to apply and get through to these committees. That will actually enhance your knowledge and also the network. Then we have the Internal Audit Magazine, which is a bi-monthly magazine. You will get free access once you become a member. So that actually gives you enormous wealth of knowledge in the industry. Then, as I told you, we have these webinars now. Even at present, we have a session on IPPA. So it's a series where IPPA standards are discussed. So from time to time, we invite various resource persons from either from central bank or from our MOU partners or some leading heads of audit in the country to share their experience, and it will enhance your knowledge, and also it will you can continue your professional education by achieving the number of hours required. Then I think the other thing is job vacancies. Whenever job vacancies come up, these are actually shared with the membership. So either internal in the country or other parts of the world. As I told you, networking is a plus point, because various industry experts on internal audit profession gather and they discuss ideas. So I would recommend you all to get the registration if you are not already registered as a member. First thing, if you have any queries, please write to iialankachapter@gmail.com. The numbers are, I think you can, when you go to the website, we have a website www.iiaexcel.lk. So if you go there, you will have the phone numbers. Just drop a mail or call our administrative secretary, and she will help you as to get the how to get the membership of the Sri Lanka chapter. So if you look at this final slide, I mean, this is a very sought after qualification, not only in USA, although it started in USA, it's now across the world. So with the current condition, I think most of the people are migrating. If you have this particular qualification, you can score a lot of points apart from your already possessed qualification. So I recommend you all to get registered and do these exams. Finally, I want to tell you, I can give you all a personal experience, because I have been a student of this institute, and currently we are doing the part 2, and we have come to almost the end of the lecture session. Hopefully, Academy of Finance will start part 3 as well, because part 2 we were in the first batch to get registered, because this is the only accredited tuition provider in Sri Lanka. If we are to do self-study, we can do, but with our busy schedule, it will not be practical, because here everything is actually given to you, basically offered to you in a platter. So because you don't have to travel for classes anymore. with the fuel crisis and other commitments, it's very easy to log into these sessions virtually. And also you have the luxury, even if you miss due to some commitments, you can play the recording back, and all these materials will be shared to you in a portal. There are question banks. So, I mean, only way to succeed these exams is by practicing the question. It's a must. So, I think these questions will be provided by the academy. And also, I think for working professionals, the classes are very interactive because you can share your ideas with the lecturer. As you know, this is adult learning, and you can actually ask questions, practical problems that you face in your office relating to auditing, and it's discussed in the class where the others who probably would have had an experience can share their views. So make use of this opportunity if you get registered and start to follow classes. And finally, I wish you all the very best with your professional career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Suranta, for that very elaborate discussion, explanation about the IIA, the Sri Lankan chapter, the activities conducted by the Sri Lankan chapter, as well as the benefits that you will gain when you become a member of the Sri Lankan chapter. So with that, and also sharing with the audience your learning experience with the Academy of Finance during your study time at the Certified Internal Auditor program. So let me now move on to the next stage of our presentation. That is the most important segment of our presentation. First of all, to handle that, I would like to invite Mr. Ashen Jayasekara, who is going to be your facilitator, key facilitator for this Certified Internal Auditor program. Yeah, actually, Ashen is a Deputy Managing Partner for BDO Sri Lanka, as well as the Managing Partner for BDO Maldives, and a member of the Governing Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Sri Lanka as well. Ashen heads the cybersecurity and fraud and forensic service practice in the firm, with over 17 years of experience in overseeing the corporate governance reviews, risk assessment, and compliance. He is a fellow chartered accountant. He's got an MBA and a BSc degree on information systems. He's a certified internal auditor USA and certified forensic, and then also is a member of CISA. That's a little bit of a background of Ashen, but more than that, Ashen is one of the most experienced professionals in this area, as well as, I would say, if not the only, the most experienced facilitator is lecturing in this area, these subjects at the Academy of Finance, Institute of Chartered Accountants, and many other universities. So I think you are getting one of the best resources that you can find for this program. So with that, I will hand over this session to Ashen. And Ashen, you can take over for the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Kapil. I think, thank you for that kind introduction. I hope all of you can hear me and see me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see you and we can hear you.
Right. Thank you. So as Suranta pointed out, Certified Internal Auditor qualification is the most globally recognized qualification that we have for our profession, that is the profession of internal auditing. So as Kapila pointed out, the CIA designation is held by more than 170,000 odd students, so candidates, and most of them are now appears to be in the Asia Pacific region, exceeding 80,000. The CIA program consists of three parts. Those days, about 6-7 years ago, it had 4 parts. But, now it has been reduced to 3 parts. Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So as you can see on the slide, when you have this designation, it certainly enhances your credibility. Because we all know that when we go for board meetings and audit committee meetings, sometimes we feel that due to the fact that we may not have much operational expertise or business sense, the operational managers, the directors, sometimes they do not respect us to the same extent that they might if we were experts in business or in operations. So we need to enhance our skills. I mean, any audit that we do must be always based on our knowledge, on our good knowledge of the operational aspects, the business. If you do not have good grounding in what the company does, the products and services it sells, the operational level processes, then obviously we may not provide good advice in terms of how to improve the governance, risk management aspects and controls or compliance aspects in an organization. Because we've got to understand the industry first, an understanding of the industry and the environment within which it operates, that is the industry. I don't think we can perform well or be good advisors to a board of directors. So this qualification certainly enhances. In Sri Lanka, of course, still about 10 years ago, you found that internal auditors who have an accounting qualification are very well respected, right? But then later on, when this qualification employees who are in this profession started to do this certification, as a standalone qualification today, it has gained a lot of ground. If you go abroad to the Middle East or to any other country, you don't need to have a professional accounting qualification. The CIA in itself would be sufficient as a standalone qualification to even become the head of the internal audit department. So we are gaining ground here. Now you see when the CIA, the head of internal audit or manager internal audit jobs are advertised, they certainly request in their job specifications or in the eligibility criteria, they say if you have a CIA, the Certified Internal Auditor certification, that is preferred. Those who have this qualification will have an advantage over the others. So that's one of the reasons why you need to do this. I myself am a chartered accountant, and one of the reasons as to why I embarked on this journey of becoming a CIA was because I knew I was going to my pathway was internal auditing. I had decided that very early on in my career, and I knew that this certification will open doors. And I can tell you it certainly has. And it has also enabled me to carry out my internal audit work far more professionally, according to standards, and the quality of the reports, my reporting communication, which is very, very important. Sometimes it's not certainly only about the hard skills. The soft skills play a much more important role. I mean, jobs of the future are going to be soft skill intensive, where 80% soft skills, 20% technical knowledge. So when you go through this program, you will also learn a little bit about how to improve your soft skills, where you need to speak up. You can remember long ago, I participated in a conference organized by an Asian institute. I cannot remember, I think it was in Malaysia or Thailand. And the theme of the conference was say it right. Speak up, say it right. So as an auditor, we need to ensure that when we are attending a meeting, when we are with the board of directors or the senior management or the audit committee, when we get that window, that opportunity to speak, we need to say it right. We need to speak up and say it right, because we get only a small window, and we need to have the experience. We need to have the knowledge to provide proper advice to the management, right? So anyone who is in the field, who is doing internal audits, it's not only internal audits, even if you are carrying out external audits, you are in QA, quality assurance, risk management, or some sort of a compliance role, right? Compliance executive or chief compliance officer, or in any sort of role related to internal control. I mean, we've had finance managers, senior finance executives following this class. What you learn if you follow all the sessions will be really helpful for you to add value in your day-to-day role that you play. So it's the duration of the course is roughly 6 months. I believe you are following part 1. So there are seven units. Each unit we have 2 classes, 2 2-hour sessions on a Thursday afternoon from about 6:15 to 8:15 or 6:30 to 8:30. The day that we've selected to conduct these classes is Thursday evening. Earlier we used to start around 6, but now we've moved it to 6:30, hoping that you all will be more or less at home and will not be on the road at 6:30. So each class would be for about 2 hours, and for those 7 units, we have for each unit 2 classes or 2 sessions, that is 4 hours. So like that, we will have about 14 theory classes. And once we finish these theory classes for the 7 units, we'll have question sessions from about 5 question sessions. So altogether, it would be about 19 weeks. 19 weeks divided by 4, it's about 5 months, right? So that's the duration. And the day, as I told you, is Thursday, but there might be about 4 or 5 days where I may have to shift it to another day, depending on some urgent work or some engagements that I may have that may fall on a Thursday. So let's move on to the next slide. So these are the 7 units. Foundation of internal auditing. In the foundation of internal auditing, you learn about the mission of internal auditing. Those days we didn't have this. You see, everything is based on this framework called the International Professional Practices Framework. And there are various components in this framework. The mission of internal auditing, the definition of internal auditing, principles of internal auditing, and then we have the standards. Right? Standards are also divided into various categories. You have the attribute standards, which are the focus in part 1. Then you have the performance standards, which are mainly covered in part 2, right? CIA part 2. And then apart from the mission, the definition, the principles, standards, then you have the code of ethics. So all these 5 components form more or less the mandatory elements of the International Professional Practices Framework, which forms the foundation on which everything else is built, right? So all methodologies are built on this sound framework. So this framework is updated every 4 or 5 years. About three weeks ago, they're in the process now of updating the IPPF framework. So hopefully in about 3 or 4 months, there may be certain revisions made to this framework, which I will keep you updated. So in the foundation, you learn about the mission. Have you heard about the mission related to internal auditing? The fact that our main role as an internal auditor or as a business partner, that is a better word to use, is to increase value in an organization. Stakeholder value is to protect value, right? Increase, protect shareholder value. And how we do this is according to the mission, which is laid down in this IPP framework, is to provide the board with assurance, advice, and insight. Now, assurance is a matter of the past, it's historical. Advice is more present and future, but insight, right? Insight is more futuristic. We must provide insight now to management, and how you can provide insight to management. For that, you need to have the experience, right? It's about, let's say, they decide to introduce a new product or a service, or they decide on expanding their geographies where they plan to open a branch in a new area. So as an internal auditor, you're now expected to advise and provide insight to management about maybe future risks and how to address it, right? So that is what the mission says. We do not only provide assurance that the internal controls are designed properly and the internal controls are operating effectively. We also provide advice, maybe on risks and various other things, and insight. To give insight is not easy. Insight, you need to be knowledgeable. You need to be able to apply your knowledge, application of knowledge. You need to read up about current trends, advances that are occurring, and tell the board now of the risks that they might face in the future. So to that extent, that is the role now today they expect of the internal audit function. Then they also talk about the definition. Definition is very, very important. They say that internal auditing is a what you call an independent, objective activity, right? It gives assurance or advice to the management, and you're supposed to add value and improve organizational operations. It's not financial. It's about adding value and improving an organization's operations. And to do that, they say that the standards that you will learn will be of paramount importance, because how you add value and improve operations is how you do that is by evaluating and improving an organization's governance, risk management, and control processes, right? So as an internal auditor, you're supposed to add value by evaluating and improving GRC, governance, risk, and compliance or controls processes. This is what you're supposed to do. If you do that, what you end up doing is you enable your organization to achieve its objectives. An organization is better able to achieve its objectives if it is properly governed, if its risks are managed effectively, and it is complying with all regulations, acts, enactments, policies, SOPs, etc. So that's your role. That's the role that you have to play. Improve GRC, evaluate GRC related processes, and improve them. So to do this, you have to follow a certain methodology, right? There has to be a method to the madness, right? So the methodology that you follow, what you should do, is now given in the standards. So when you listen to these sessions, what I say, some of it you have already done, right? So some of it you know how to do it, but now you will learn why you're doing it, right? Because it's not just a case of knowing what to do, how to do it, but you need to know why you're doing it. This why question is answered throughout these sessions. In Unit 2, you will learn about independence, objectivity. These are important characteristics that the internal audit function should possess. The internal audit function needs to be independent of management. An internal auditor, on the other hand, is also expected to be objective, unbiased, uninfluenced, provide reports without being influenced by others. Right? To that extent, you have to be objective. Then auditor is also expected to be proficient. Right? You must be proficient in the standards. someone achieves proficiency when they can carry out a task, when they can apply theory to a specific context. You have to prepare a risk-based internal audit plan, and if you can apply the theory and prepare that risk-based audit plan, then you're proficient. Just knowing the theory itself will not make you proficient, right? Yes, so one of the students is asking about the exam format, computer-based, paper-based. We will get to that after in a few minutes. The third slide is about, the third unit is about governance. Okay, then fourth is about risk management. In risk management, you learn about ISO. There is a student, I think, who has not muted the mic. Let me mute him. Mohammed. Yes, fine. That's fine. Thank you. So in risk management, you will learn about the ISO 31000 framework and the COSO ERM framework. Because without knowing about the best practices, the models, the ERM related frameworks, you cannot advise the management on how they should, how they need to improve their risk management related processes. So you will learn the theory when you follow part 1. Controls, we all know there are various types of controls, control frameworks, the COSO framework, which is our foundational framework, the different types of controls, right? We have different types of controls. You will learn about that. Control applications, how you need to, the importance of applying controls in organization, and finally about fraud. Okay, what is fraud? What is the fraud triangle? What do you mean by a fraud risk management program? What are the different types of fraud related controls? What is the profile of the fraudster? So all that. What are the behavioral fraud indicators, right? So all that you will learn when you attend these sessions. So there are a few questions asked by the candidates. All those questions will be covered. So here we are, maybe an answer to one of the questions. So the exam has 3 parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1, it's all computer-based. It's all computer-based, and you can sit for the exam anytime you wish, with 48 hours notice, right? So, so they are computer-based, right? And part 1 has 125 questions. Part 2 has 100, and part 3 also has 100. You have about 2.5 hours to answer these questions, roughly about 1.5 minutes per question. So these are the areas that are covered in part 1, and most of these areas that need to be covered in part 1 will be covered within these 7 units. Moving on, part 2. In part 1, you will mainly learn about the attribute standards. I said standards are divided into 2 types, attribute and performance standards. So part 1 covers attribute standards. Those are the standards or the attributes that an internal auditor or an internal audit function should possess. For example, the auditor should be objective. The internal audit department must be independent, right? Things like that. And of course, those areas that I mentioned to you earlier. Part 2 covers mostly the performance standards, how to perform an audit, how to plan an audit, what is risk-based audit planning, how to determine your audit universe. So this part 2 is very, very useful in a sense, if you want to really learn how to perform an audit. So here again, you have 100 questions. It's an online exam. These are the parts: managing the internal audit activity, planning the engagement, how to plan this risk-based internal audit, how to perform the audit, right? What sort of supervision is required, how to supervise, how to draft your reports. With regards to communications, what are the characteristics that this engagement reporting should, the reports that you produce should possess? They must be clear, concise, and all that, and how those are defined. And the monitoring of the audit when you carry out the audit. So it's very, very useful. So this part 2 has 25 questions less than part 1. So we have about 100 questions in this section. right? So moving on to part 3 here. This is the easiest because I come from an accounting background, and I found this section to be the easiest because in part 1 and part 2, you mainly learn about the internal auditing standards, right? So part 3 is more general. You learn about the different types of management styles, about the importance of cybersecurity, about the different IT infrastructure frameworks and financial management, break-even, costing, etc., and basic stuff about financial management, that is, and management accounting. So are there any compulsory practical training requirements to get the certificate? Yes. USD related fees, I will come to that. Is it possible to complete part 1, 2, 3 within 6 months? Yes. It took me about 9 months, but you have to be a very good student, right? Because you cannot take shortcuts. Even if you learn all the materials, the examination questions are practical questions. It's not the knowledge that is tested, but the application of knowledge. So you need to go through the theory. You know, as Suranta very correctly pointed out, you must do the questions, right? Learning, revising from cover to cover, from A to Z is not going to be very helpful if you do not know how you will be tested, in what areas they will test you. So you need to do the questions over and over again. I did it about 4 or 5 times, the same questions 4 or 5 times. And when you then, just give me a second. And when you do these questions and go for the exam, you will realize maybe about 30% will come from what you've already done. And the balance 70 is all based in some sort of a commercial context, right? So you need to know, because every question might have 2 correct answers, but one answer will be more related to the context in which the question is set, right? So you've got to select the best answer, right? If they ask you what are the 2 types of standards, it's very clear: attribute and performance. But not all questions are going to test your theory. Some are going to be based in some sort of a context, right? And you need to understand the context and then select the best answer. So it depends. So if you want to complete it in 9 months, yes, you can do it, but you need to cover the syllabus, right? You need to get the books. You need to go through the theoretical stuff. You need to do the questions, and then you can sit for it. Mainly because if you're in Sri Lanka and you are now hoping to do this exam, unlike in my time where I had the option of sitting for it 2 or 3 times because the price was not as high as it is today due to the depreciation. Now, if you sit for it, you need to get it right the first time, unless, of course, you're very, very rich. So is there any calculation parts? Yes, there are calculations, especially in the 3rd section. You may have to compute the break-even point. You may have to compute ratios like current ratios and all that, but I don't think you have to take a calculator with you. At the bottom of your screen, you have this link which says calculate. You click on it and you can do it on screen, right? You cannot take anything with you for the exam. They will take they'll do a retinal scan. They'll monitor, they'll video your entire session. All that is done. So it's all on biometrics. So in part 3 also, you have these 4 areas which are more generic. If you've done some sort of a management degree or finance related degree or a professional accounting qualification, maybe about 60-70% you've already completed it, or an MBA, this 3rd part is going to be fairly easy for you, right? So we have a student from the Philippines, right? Is there a way I could review those mentioned subjects or refer, then take the exam? Yes, I'm sure you can. You can speak to the academy, and you have already taken these subjects, right? So if you've already followed or covered the theoretical aspects that we are planning to cover in some other course or program, what I would like to suggest is you go through and see whether everything has been covered, and then you can quickly get on to the questions, right? You can do that. Because when it came to part 3, that's what I also did. Part 1 took a little, about 5 to 6 months for me to do with my work, etc. But when it came to part 2, and I've understood how to do it, and how they form the questions and all that, it was a little easier. Part 3 may have taken about 2 months for me, right? So I'm trying to answer some of your questions as we go by the slide, go through the slide. So these are the entry criteria. I'm sure most of you are aware of these entry criterias. Master's degree, no problem. If you have a bachelor's degree, you can enroll in the program, but there are students who do not have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. Then they introduce this new qualification called internal audit practitioner. So let's say you have nothing, you're just an O-level student, right? And you started work, you can sit for this internal audit practitioner. It's a 6-month program which covers areas from part 1, part 2, etc. We will discuss that a little later on. And of course, you can enroll in the program, but to get into the CIA, you need to have 5 years of experience at exit, right? So the internal audit practitioner, if you have passed the exam and you covered, if you have some sort of experience in internal auditing or its equivalent, and you finished about 5 years of that, 5 years. Let's say you already have finished 5 years, right? Then you can you can get into the CIA program. If you have nothing, absolutely nothing, 5 years of internal audit experience would suffice. At the point you started, this exit point and entry point means you can now, if you take number 3, you do the internal audit practitioner certificate, right? And you can enter into the CIA program. But when you come out of the CIA program, when you finish part 3, and if you want the certified internal auditor designation, at that point you need to have 5 years. But if you have no experience at all, no qualification, but you have just 5 years, right, with any other qualification, because some students have banking qualifications or accounting technician qualifications. For that, let's say a 2-year program, then at the start itself, you need to have 5 years. So basically, if you have 5 years of internal audit experience, you can enroll in this program. If you do not have 5 years of experience, the best thing to do is to do the internal audit practitioner and get into the program. And by the time you finish it, hopefully, you will have the 5 years experience so that you can come out of the program with the CIA designation. So one student has asked us about external audit, whether it qualifies as a valid experience. Yes, external auditing, anything related to controls, right? So it's all about the way you present it to the IIA. So there are students with a risk coming from a risk background, from external audit background. So even in external audit, we have to assess, we have to review processes, we have to review controls, we have to look at the processes that ultimately end up with a debit and credit on the GL. So it is covered. So that will be acceptable, right? If you're in a quality assurance role, compliance role, all that sort of experience is considered valid, right? How much would be the class fee and the study material? I think Kapila will enlighten you on that a little later on. You can get those details, I believe, from the academy. Just hold on. So then there is another exam called the challenge exam. So if some of you have a professional accounting qualification, maybe ACCA, CA, England and Wales, or from a professional accounting qualification from Malaysia, you can go to the IIA website. There are 17 qualifications, which if you have completed those, or if you are a member of one of those 17 bodies, right, you can, instead of sitting for all 3 papers, you can just sit for 1 paper, 150 questions. So it's easier. It's more or less the same cost, but it's easier and maybe slightly cheaper than sitting for all 3 parts, right? So if any one of you are qualified, if any one of you are qualified, Then let's say you have an ACCA, then you can register for this. There's a window open now in September. You can register for this challenge exam now, and then you can sit for the exam in November or in February. So there are 2 months in which either month you can sit for the exam. But this window opens only, I think, in February and September each year. So the registration aspect has to be completed in that respective month. Now it's September, that is this month. Then you can sit for the exam. I think November might be way too soon. Maybe February might be more reasonable, right? How long compulsory training is required to qualify? We'll look at that a little later. Is there any class for challenge exam? Yes, we do not have one class for one specific program for challenge. What we do is we have part 1, part 2, and part 3. So you have to follow all 3 classes, right? And then, but we do not have a specific program per se for. So in fact, we started part 2 a few months ago. Now we are starting part 1, and then part 3 we are going to start soon, so that by February, all 3 parts you would have, at least the classes you would have completed, right? Is IFR standard following? Not really. This is about internal audit standards, right? We are learning about internal audit standards, that is in the IPPF framework. There are separate standards for internal auditing, which are somewhat similar to the international standards on auditing, right? Now, IFRS are standards related to accounting. But what we are learning is how to audit on the accounting aspects. But there's a little bit of accounting in the 3rd stage, as I told you. You learn a little bit about debit credits, but there is no in-depth theory on the accounting standards. That's a different program altogether. Is there any class for challenge exams? I think I've answered that question. Let's go back. Compulsory training is required to qualify. Yes. So for the CIA program, I think you need a minimum of 2 years experience, right? For those who have a bachelor's and a master's and 2 years of experience, I think you can get the certified internal auditor designation. The other aspects I will cover a little later on. So these are the areas, as I said, when you look at this challenge exam, 35% comes from part 1, about 43% of the challenge exam curriculum comes from part 2, and then you have a little bit from part 3, 22% comes from part 3, right? So the challenge exam is an amalgamation really of certain aspects of all 3 areas. Yes, Pimsara, I will tell you about the fees very, very soon. Pass rate for the CIA exam, Chaturani, is 75, the pass rate, right? So out of 100, you have to get at least 75 to 80% of the questions correct. A very steep ask, right? Not very, very easy, but in terms of the pass rate, right? If 100 students sit for it, only about 42 pass it. So it's a tough exam. I've seen many students come down by 1 or 2 marks. So that's why I said this is not an exam that you should take lightly, particularly in this economic environment. Due to the depreciation of the currency, it's very, very expensive to resit, right? I will move on to the fees also soon. Then, of course, part 3 we have covered. Then you have this also we've done. Yeah, so the internal audit practitioner exam, just give me a second. I'm getting a call. Just give me a second. Right, sorry about that. Can you see the slides? Can someone confirm whether you can see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Right, sorry, thanks.
See,
Right, thank you. So the internal audit practitioner exam is an exam that can be done by someone who does not possess the qualification, the BSc or the master's level qualification, and someone who does not have the experience to get into this program, that 5 years of experience. So those of you who do not fall into any of those criteria, who do not fulfill those criteria, can get this certification in about 6 months, right? And get into the CIA program. But for you to get the CIA designation at the end, when you finish all those parts, at that point, you need to show 5 years of experience, right? Purely because you do not have a BSc or a MSc. So these are the parts covered. Again, you have in this internal audit practitioner exam, you have areas from part 1, you have areas from part 2, then you also have areas from part 3, right? So the class timings and all that I've discussed with you, 6:30 to 8:30, we give you the handout, roughly about 40 to 50 hours of lecturing. And we also have 3 mock exams at the end, where we give you a certificate to pass those mock exams, which is a kind of an online exam, which you can do. I'm not exactly sure whether it can be done remotely or whether you have to come to the institute, but if you pass it, you get a certificate from the academy. So these are the fees, Pinsara. These you can see, as Suranta mentioned, become a member of the IIA. You can see the savings. Look at this. The application to become a member of the IIA Sri Lanka chapter is only 13,000. That's very, very cheap. Then if you look at the member savings that you would have, 295 if you are a member, 425 if you are a non-member. So if you want to sit for CIA part 1, you'll have to pay the application fee and the examination fee. And the application fee also, I believe, is valid only for 6 months. What you do is, what I used to do is, I used to follow the classes. Then once I finish it, when I'm closer to the exam, when I know I'm ready, then I pay the application fee. So I follow the classes, let's say from September, I go on till September, October, November, you have classes, then December I prepare, then in late December or January, I pay the application fee, so that I have plenty of months left, 6 months from Jan instead of 6 months from September. I have time left, so then more validity period. So then you have to pay for your 115, that's application one-off fee, which has to be paid every 6 months. And then you sit for your exam, that is 295. So that altogether, as you can see, it comes to about 400. And if you are not a member, it's 600 and 600. So almost $250 more. $250 into 370 rupees is quite a large sum, right? Far more than this membership fee of 13,000. Then you have part 2. So part 2, again, application fee is the same, but since it's 100 questions of a lesser duration, part 1, I believe, is about half an hour longer than part 2. Part 2, the fee is a little less. So it's 265. So now you can do the maths. When I used to do it, I think I completed everything for about 100,000, 125. It's way more than that. These are the fees for the internal audit practitioner exam and the challenge exam. Can you see the challenge exam is 1,545. If you're a non-member, 1,545. And if you want to do the parts separately, you'll have to pay 425, 395, and then 250, right? 425, that is 700, 800, yeah, about 1,000. So the challenge exam is, even I think if you add all 3 parts, if you do it separately, it's still more, costs more. But then again, you have only one exam with 150 questions, right? Let me just take these questions. Now membership fee is 15,000, my word. All right. So I paid the membership fee I think last month, I think I paid 12,000 or 13. No, it's 13. So Suranta said it's 13, right? So anyway, you can double check with the academy, with the IIA Sri Lanka chapter. So minimum attendance 75%. This is important, as Suranta pointed out. Some of the theory, some of it is, as he said, is spoon-fed, you know. You can just listen, just close your eyes and just listen. You'll be able to retain it for a longer period of time, rather than when you listen to it, try to read it later on. So try to attend classes, especially if you hope to get this certificate of proficiency in internal audit issued by the academy. It's best. I think this is a minimum criteria to get that certificate. So 3 mock exams, you may have to sit for all 3. You can resit those exams, I believe. If you pass, but you have about two sessions, and 50% is the pass mark. So expected from the participants, right? Code of conduct, I think Kapila will go through these with you. And also, I think one of the students wants to know about the pricing. I think it might be helpful if we can, if you are not aware, we can tell you how much the academy would charge to attend CIA Part 1. So Kapila, would you like to enlighten the students on it? I can now hand it over to you.
Yes, Sachin, I will take it over. Are you going to use any of the slides, or can I start?
Oh, you can.
slide?
Yes. So I've stopped at this slide. I've stopped at this slide. So you can take over. You can take over the slide deck.
Sure.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's another question, Kapila, whether we have any centers in Dubai. So since we do it virtually, students from Dubai can take part in the classes, but of course you've got to get the timing right. That's why we sometimes have late evening classes because Dubai is a little bit after. I mean, if it's 6:30 here, it's 4:30 there, and Qatar as well. So maybe
Yeah, Shane, actually,
go ahead, Kapil.
yeah, we have been having parts of countries like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and things like countries like that. So definitely, depending on whether you can come to the class and on time, definitely you can come join the online classes, or else if you can start little later, you can join whenever you are free, but you will get access to the entire recorded videos so that you can go through that. But we've been having students in the past, so there is no restriction for you to take part in the program if you are from Dubai. Right. So Ashin, I will try to share this then.
Right. I will just switch off the camera for a minute. Right.
Yeah, sure. Right. So basically, when you join the program with Academy of Finance, you will get access to the notes, approximately 50 hours of virtual classes, face-to-face classes. And also, like I mentioned, you will get access to the recorded sessions. And you will be having access to a lot of other examination practice material. For example, we will be having a question bank for each one of the topics of the curriculum, more than 100 questions on each topic, which are of the examination standard. So you can go through these quizzes. What will happen is when it comes to the latter part of the program, we will be opening these quizzes one by one. Say chapter 1, topic 1 quizzes will be open to you. And then you can do this for a while. You'll be given a time window to do these quizzes. And they are organized into chunks of 10 to 15 questions, lesser number of questions, so that depending on the time that you have, your leisure time committing and whatever the time that you have, you can take these small chunks of questions. And in a similar manner, we will be having all the chapter quizzes, and you can complete them one by one within the time window given to you. And once you complete them, you will be having 3 mock examinations. So we'll be giving you all the timelines. We will give you a comprehensive schedule immediately after you register. So we'll set the timeline at the beginning itself. So you'll be given the dates for the mock the quizzes, and then the mock examinations. And then once you do all of that, you can sit for your examination with confidence. So therefore, I'm sure that you'll get a lot of resources. Like I told you, the course book, virtual classes, the recorded videos, and hundreds, close to 1,000 or more than that, actually the topic-wide quizzes, and also 3 examinations which are somewhat similar to similar type of the final examination. So that's what you're going to get. And these are the class timing for the sessions. And Ashen has already briefed you about the fee structure, what you need to pay for different programs. And basically, for the participants, what we want you to do is we expect you to join the session on time and be present throughout the session. That's very, very important. And if possible, at least some of you, if you could have your video on, that's going to be very useful for the lecturers, and you'll be interacting well with the lecturer. And you're free to question, seek clarifications, and discuss with the lecturers and the colleagues in the class. That is very much expected and required for you to have a good interactive learning sessions and to get the best from the lecturer. And as Ashen mentioned to you, you can get the certificate from Academy of Finance, provided that you maintain the attendance requirement throughout the course. And then you participate in all 3 mock examinations and minimum 50 marks for each of the mock examinations. So your objective is not to get the certificate from Academy of Finance, but to get the certified internal auditor qualification. But however, for you to get that confidence, right, and then take the examination with a lot of confidence, we give you this opportunity to do the practice exams as well as the mock examination, so that you will end up in taking up the examination and completing the qualification. Right? So our assessment will be 2.5 hours, 3 MCQ examinations, and this is what it is. So you need to complete this within the given time window. Having said that, you may be wondering why I'm showing this checkered board. The point is that it is very important that when you are in an online class, and especially when it is a little bit of a theoretically oriented subject, you interact with the lecturers, because the situation is of the lecturer will be worse than this throughout the 2.5 hour session, unless you show your faces. Right? It will be, otherwise lecturer will be teaching to a set of black boxes, right? Without any noise or interaction, and it will be very difficult for the lecturer also to keep himself energized unless you start interacting. So therefore, it's very, very important to get the best out of the session, to get the best out of the lecturer, and also to learn from the experiences of the others in the class. Don't give that experience, to share with the others, share your video and talk to each other and interact with the lecturers. So that's what I want to tell you at this point of time. And like I told you at the beginning, we usually get the opportunity to get to know each other when we start a session like this. So therefore, following the same practice, we are going to do this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you to do it faster. I'm going to invite you to just tell about yourself, write your name, your place of work, and the designation, so that we get to know you more than me, Ashen, as a lecturer. He will get to know what type of audience he has. At the same time, you all will get to know each other. There is no compulsion. If anyone, if you feel that, okay, when I call your name, you feel that, no, you don't want to introduce yourself, you can just say pass, right? So then I will not be calling your name again. So there is no compulsion, but it's good to get to know each other. So that's the whole objective of having this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite you by the name, right? Again, no compulsion. And also you need to unmute yourself and then tell your name and whatever the introduction, right? So first of all, we have Abdul Rafi. Would you like to introduce yourself, Rafi? Are you there? Right. Okay. Muhammad Nias Muhammad Nawaz, I think. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I am Nasir. Now I'm in Qatar. I'm working in Rotland Partners audit firm as an audit senior.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
And
thank you.
then we have Ahmad Hassan Mohammed Rifan. Rifan, would you like to introduce yourself? Right, we move on. Arshad Ahmed. Would you like to introduce yourself, Arshad? Right. Chandana, would you like to introduce yourself? Chandana Gajanayaka. Chandana, are you there? Hello. Chaturani Kumari. Chaturani, would you like to introduce
Chandana
yourself?
is here.
Yes, Chandana, please.
It was a nice experience, but still, I'm not very sure whether it is. I'm a doctor, so I am not very sure whether it is directly applicable to me. But it is always nice to know a little bit of accounting and management.
Yeah, no, doctor. Yeah, doctor. Sorry, I didn't recognize you. I will talk to you. Just go through this session, and I will talk to you separately. Dr. Chandana, so I will talk to you separately. Thank you for introducing yourself. I didn't recognize you. We'll talk to you separately.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Chaturani Kumari.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Chaturani, currently working at Nations Trust Bank as an assistant vice president of internal audit, and I'm a fellow member of Chartered Accountancy as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Chaturani. Thanks for the introduction. Danushka Sampath. Danushka, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello. I'm Dhanushka Sampath. I work in Deloitte Sri Lanka as an assistant manager, and I'm following final stage of CS Sri Lanka.
Okay, thank you, Danushka. Duminda Helassage.
Yeah.
Duminda,
Yeah, I'm here. I hope you can hear me.
yes,
Hello?
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm Duminder Helassage, working as an internal auditor at a financial company here in Sri Lanka.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Hassan Dean. Hassan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. My name is Hassan. Thank you for this opportunity for us to attend this session. I'm in the field of supply chain, and I would like to increase my knowledge of compliance, and hence I am trying to see whether this course would fit my profession of supply chain. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Later on, if you need any further details, we can help you since you are from a different field and whether it matches the intention. So thank you for the introduction.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Then we have Induni Dialvis.
Hi, I'm Induni. I'm a banker. At the moment, I'm working as an internal auditor in branch banking level.
Okay, thank you, Induni.
Yeah.
Kanchana, would you like to introduce yourself? Hi, Kanchana.
Hi. Yes, sir. I'm Dominica Kanchana. Currently, I'm attached to one of the finance company that is LOLC Group internal audit team, and currently I'm held as a manager position.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Kanchana. Maria Eliza, would you like to introduce yourself, Maria?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Eliza. I've been working here in Sri Lanka as an finance and accounting consultant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mohammed Faisal, would you like to introduce yourself? Faisal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. This is Vice working as a finance manager for an organization.
Finance manager, right? Okay, thank you. Mohammed Imtiaz. I can see only part of the name. Would you like to introduce yourself? Mohammed Imtiaz, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, I see on the chat I'm Imtiaz working as a development officer at Department of MRCA. Okay, thank you. Mohammed Nias, would you like to introduce yourself? Mohammed Nias, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, then we also on the chat we have seen Rafi from Kampala, currently working as chief accountant in Philippines. Thank you. And then we also have Murshid Rajuddin. Murshid, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Murshid. I'm working as an audit supervisor in a Qatar audit firm. I'm an associate member of CSU.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And then we have Nalin Chai Vikraman. Nalin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, good evening, sir. I'm Nalin Chai Vikraman. I work for an international NGO called Asia Foundation. And I'm the director of finance and grants there.
Okay, excellent. The Asia Foundation, right?
Yeah, Asia Foundation. And also, I'm a fellow member of Chartered Institute.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we also have Nazir Shaul Hamid. Nazir, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, right. Then we have Pinsara Disanayaka.
Yes,
Pinsara,
I'm I'm Pinsar Dasanayaka, currently working as a senior manager in audit attached to IIA Insurance Lanka.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And then we have Prasangi Kajanayaka. Prasangi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, good evening. I'm Prasangi, working at Sri Lankan Airlines as a manager at Group Assurance and Advisory Services. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Prasangi. And sorry if I don't pronounce these names correctly, Rabab Hassan. Rabab, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm a Maldivian student residing in Sri Lanka. I'm doing SCCA.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Are you employed at the moment or full-time studies?
Full-time student.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Ruchira Pereira. Hi, Ruchira.
I'm Ruchira Pereira, currently working with Union Bank as the Assistant Vice President, Corporate Banking.
Excellent. Thank you. What's the bank, Ruchira, you said?
Union Bank.
Union Bank. Okay, thank you. And then we have Selvaraja Jackson. Selvaraja, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yeah, I'm
Yes, we
Selvaraja
can.
Jackson. I'm working in Qatar in an audit firm as a senior auditor.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks. Shanal Sagara. Shanal, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi. Good evening. I'm Shanal Sagar. Currently, I'm working at Sri Lanka Private Limited as a senior executive in the audit department.
Sorry, what's the company you said?
Sierra International Tire.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Tamali Disanayaka. Hi, Tamali.
Hi, I work for People's Bank Internal Audit Department as a deputy manager.
Okay, thank you, Tamali. Tarindu Gunasekara.
Hello. Hi.
Yes, Tarindu.
I am Tarindu Disansala. I am working commercial credit finance PLC as an internal auditor. I have 10 years working experience still now. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. And then we have Vivian Thalesingham. Vivian, would you like to introduce yourself to the others?
Hello, I'm Vivian Thalesingham. I'm the Finance Manager at Gearbox Center Private Limited.
Okay, I think I've gone through all the names. Sarindu, I already spoken to. Is there anyone whom I missed and who would like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I think you missed me. This is Rizmi
Oh.
from. No, that's all right. So my name is Rizmi. I'm attached to HSBC Group, and I'm the Assistant Vice President in their risk assessment team.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Rizmi.
No problem. Yeah.
Thanks. Anyone else? Right. I think we've gone through all the names. Once again, thank you very much for those lovely introductions. And it's good that we got to know about you, where you come from, your backgrounds. And this definitely will give you, from your point of view, it will give you a flavor of the rest of the participants who is going to be there in the class with you for the next couple of months, as well as it will give an idea and insight to the lecturer, Rashen, as well as us as the institute, your profiles and the backgrounds in helping to offer the program. So having said that, let me take a couple of minutes more to finish my part of the session. So we just had this quick introduction. And then, of course, we've had a few questions coming up. But if you have any further questions, what we could do is we can allocate a little bit, a couple of more minutes to get any questions clarified more than me. Ashen will be able to help you on that. And that's, in fact, what you're planning to do. So it's open to you. And Ashen, hope you're there. You can come up with any further clarifications that you have in this area before we wind up this part of the section. Okay, there is one question: when will be the classes starting? So actually, we will be starting the classes today. There will be a quick introduction, and then thereafter the classes will be starting on the coming Thursday. Actually, the weekly class, as it has been communicated to you, it will be on Thursdays. So the coming Thursday will be the next lecture. The first longer proper lecture will be the next week, and the normal fees we have communicated to you. And there is a the participants from Sri Lanka, there's a fee, as well as the participants from other markets, there's a slight different fee. So our staff will communicate with you with all the details in a proper mail. Other than that, let me see whether there are any questions that we have missed. I think these questions we have already taken up. I think if there are any other questions, any further questions, you can actually get them clarified now. I think we have covered all of what was there in the chat.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Regarding training requirement, could you elaborate some ideas about it?
Yes, I think I will go to the slide. Meanwhile, I can do it, but Ashen would be the best person to explain that. Ashen, would you like to share this your views on this about the training experience?
Yes, so if you just hold on, yeah. So if you have a bachelor's degree, 2 years of internal audit or equivalent experience is what is required. If you have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, to get the IIA certification, you need to pass the exam, number one. Number two, you need to submit copies of your bachelor's degree and all that. then you have to show at least minimum 2 years of internal audit experience or equivalent experience, that is in management or compliance. So 2 years should be adequate. You have to get a good employment. Your employment experience has to be certified, and then a good character certificate also has to be issued by your employer. So those are the things. If you do not have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, then of course you need a minimum of 5 years of experience. So that is the requirement.
Hope it has been made clear. So master's degree, this point 1 is about the master's degree, point 2 is about the bachelor's degree. And then point 3 is if you don't have a bachelor's degree or an equivalent, you can do the internal audit practitioner, and then with 5 years of exit point experience you can join, or else you can straight away join part 1 with 5 years of equivalent experience at the entry level. And as you mentioned, these are the areas of experience, very broad. Any other questions and clarifications?
Hello, sir. I'm planning to visit Saudi Arabia. How I can be participate exam and class actually in Saudi Arabia?
Sorry, you are planning to participate in the classes from Saudi Arabia, right?
Yes. Next month, Saudi Arabia about 6 months.
Right.
During that time, how we participate classes, and if I won't visit the exam, that's what I want to know.
Right. Participating in the classes, of course, like we explained to you earlier, you can join the classes online. Of course, you need to see your workplace, what is the time that you finish your work. So you'll be starting around 6:30, the classes here. So if you are not at your office at that time, come then join the classes online. So then you can join immediately. Or else, if it is a little later, say half an hour later, if you join, you can still do that. But within 24 hours, you'll get access to the recorded videos in our e-learning portal for your exclusive access. So then if in case you miss something, you can take part. You can go through them, but any number of times to the recorded videos for the registered students. So that's what is going to be. So while you are here, you can take part while you are here, and then once you go there online again, you can join. Regarding the examination, there must be a center. Again, Ashen will be the better person. Definitely, there has to be a center in Saudi Arabia. It's an online examination. Actually, you can directly join and do it. Ashen, would you like to?
Yeah. So if it's 6:30 Sri Lanka time, it would be about 4 p.m. for you there, I believe.
Yes. So 2 hours gap is there.
So the question is whether you can get off by about 4 p.m. So that that's what I said earlier. We used to start classes at 6, so we made it 6:30 so that candidates from the Middle East could join. But the only thing is you have to get off by about 4. If you can do that, then attending the classes wouldn't be a problem for you. With regards to sitting for the exam, it's a virtual exam, but Saudi Arabia should have a CIA center. Some institution or university will be having a CIA. It's actually Pearson's VU. Those are the guys who conduct these exams. They have their own labs and all that. So I'm sure in Saudi Arabia, there should be a Pearson's lab set up in one of the universities or educational establishments. So if they do have it, then you can sit for this paper. So you can go to the IIA website also and see. I'm sure in Saudi Arabia, the facility is there to log in. The only thing is you have to go to a accredited lab. Generally, it's a Pearson VUE accredited lab. So they have here, I'm just looking at it now, they have in Dammam, Jeddah, Riyadh, they have Pearson VUE testing centers there. So you can visit one of those testing centers and see whether the CIA is also an exam which they provide.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Ashen, there is another question. Does this course contribute to improve the operations efficiency of the various functions of a company? Would you like to answer that?
So generally, as an internal auditor, what we focus on is to improve governance, risk management, compliance, controls. But then again, how we might contribute towards improving efficiency is that sometimes when we look at and study a process, we might see that it takes a longer time, it takes more resources. So how can you carry out a process more efficiently, meaning reducing the time, reducing the resources that that process consumes. So in that sense, you will learn. And also when it comes to efficiency, we will advise about the possibility of automating or digitizing a process instead of having it as a manual process. Or we may look at, for example, reporting efficiency. To prepare a report, if it takes 5 hours, how can it be done in lesser time? So efficiency is not the main focus because it's more of a GRC focus. But then with experience and when you learn about GRC also, you may learn about how to improve the efficiency in an indirect manner. You know, I mean, if you go to if you're working in a apparel company and if you'd ask me whether this course might help you to improve the production efficiency and all that, directly, no, not really, because you have to be an apparel expert and you have to do their work studies and all that. So, so the focus is mainly on GRC, you know, and how to enable the organization to better increasing the chances of it achieving its strategic goals and operational goals. That is more the focus, and ensuring that the assets are safeguarded and the financials, the reliability and accuracy is ensured, and the integrity aspects. But efficiency is also something that is, I know as an internal audit, I can tell you when we do audits, the management expects us to give a few points on that. So not directly, but indirectly, yes. I hope I've answered your question, because you see in the definition itself, it says internal auditing is done to improve operations, right? You add value by improving operations, and how we improve our operations is by using a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluating and improving the governance, risk management, and the compliance. So when we improve governance, risk management, and compliance, that will result in a more efficient operation is in a certain way, yes. I mean, how a process is governed, supervised, managed will definitely improve efficiency in a certain way, but it depends on the industry.
Any other questions?
Hi, Ashen. This is Chaturani. Ashen, when do you think that we need to take our IIA membership? Is it immediate or just before the exam? Because
so IIA membership is an annual thing. I cannot remember now, but I think the membership period runs from May to June, or June to May, or there is a specific window. So that's an annual fee. So if you want to enjoy the benefits of being a member, like access to the magazines, access to the website where you get a username and password, it is not linked to the exam at all. It's better for you to pay now itself. I mean, if let's assume that the annual window is from June to May every year, then it's better for you to pay the 13,000 in June itself and enjoy 12 months. If you become a member in December, I don't know whether the institute gives you a prorated rate for the balance 5 or 6 months. So membership is different, but if it comes to registering for the exam, you must do it about a month before the exam, because you have a 3-year window. You don't want to waste time. You know, the 3-year window starts from the first day you register for a CIA exam. So that
I thought there's a bearing from the IIA membership registration date also. Thank you very much, Ashen.
Any other clarifications? One moment, just any comment. Ashen, there's another question on the chat. Compliance is a moving goal. Some SOPs need to be dynamic to the changing landscape. Please elaborate. Just one comment from Hassan D.
Yeah, so internal audits are done. One of the primary goals is to ensure that the company complies with legal enactments or any sort of regulatory regulation stemming from the regulatory body in the industry that you are operating in. So certainly, yes. So as soon as, for example, if you take the banking sector, as soon as a new directive it is issued, right, or let's say a data protection bill is enacted, then you must see whether how should the SOP be updated to ensure that the company complies with that new regulation. So because how you ensure a company complies with regulation is by changing the process or by introducing a new internal control. So that has to, so yes, so I agree with the fact that SOPs are not cast in stone. They are a living thing, and you have to change the SOPs specifically. You have to change it in a way so that an internal control maybe is brought in to ensure compliance, and also accountability for compliance is placed on employees, because someone has to ensure compliance. Officer does not ensure compliance. Compliance has to be ensured by all employees, have a role to play in ensuring compliance. Compliance officer is something who would develop programs and have some sort of assuring mechanism to monitor whether the company is complying or not, and to educate the company as to what compliance requirements are there and the changing compliance requirements. So SOPs, yes, need to be dynamic and need to be updated, not on an annual basis, but as and when needed, and as and when changes take place, not only to the regulatory environment, also to the external other factors that may have an impact on the company.
Thank you, Ashane. I think we've had a lot of questions, and unless we don't have any further questions, let's take to the next stage of this discussion. Basically, if you have already, if you are already a registered participant for this program, so then you will be getting further information, and you can collect the material, and you'll be given access to the e-learning portal in a couple of days' time. And if you are not yet registered but still interested, you could contact us for registrations. And if you have already got a contact person, counselor from our end, so you can get in touch with that person. If not, what we will do is now this entire session, as well as the slides that we show you here during the induction, we do have a separate induction page on our website. So what we'll do is within probably 24 hours, so we'll get access to this entire video discussion and the whatever the material, these slides, PDF of these slides. So you can go through them, and then you will be given opportunity to contact our staff to continue with your registration. So that's all what it is all about. Anything else? So that's our plan actually. So basically, we've come to the end of this part of the discussion. And so I think I'll just take you to the last page. So if you're interested, those who are not registered, it's time for you to start your journey. And I will wind up this part of the session with that. And Ashane, what would be your plan for today? Are you going to take them through a short session, or are you going to start in the next week itself?
So I think, Kapila, we can start next week. But what I would like to recommend is that you register for the course, so that, you know, there are a few candidates who join us later on, but to start from the first day itself. So we will, Kapila, start the first session proper from next week.
Okay. Thank you, Ashane. So once again, I would like to thank all of you for having an interest in this area and start your education or continuing your education to get the certified internal auditor qualification with the Academy of Finance. And of course, we'd love to have you here following the classes with us within the next couple of months. And also, I would like to thank Suranta Jayatilaka, who representing the IIA Sri Lanka chapter, for taking his valuable time and educating you about the Institute of Internal Auditors as well as the activities of Sri Lankan chapter. And most importantly, a big thank to you, Ashen, as well, to joining with us and then taking the major part of this session and helping the participants to understand what the qualification, the structure, examination, assessment, everything with regard to the qualification. I'm sure you would have found this useful. And that's all about the induction session. And if there's anyone else want to get in touch with us, you could definitely get in touch with us. And we'll wind up this session here, and we'll be getting access to our induction page within the next 24 hours. And hope to see you in the class from next week onwards. Thank you.
All right. Good night.